go.
What's up, guys? Welcome to another edition of our Dynasty Spotlight Series, special edition Sophomore Spotlight Series here at Masters Fantasy Football, the premier place for Dynasty Fantasy Football, and really all fantasy football for that matter. So up first on our Sophomore Spotlight Series from a running back perspective is Jonathantaylor. Went 1.2 in a lot of our rookie drafts a year ago, but one of the players we absolutely love coming out of Wisconsin. Fact about him that I love: first ever three consecutive over 2,000 all-purpose yard seasons in college. Comes out to the NFL. And, after a slow start, has a pretty strong rookie year. His final stats, about 1,100 rushing yards, 5 touchdowns. Caught about 36 balls as well, I believe. Better than a lot of guys. I'm sorry, I think he had 11 touchdowns. Did I say 5?
Yes.
11 touchdowns. And caught 36 passes. Not bad for a guy who, people were saying, he can't catch passes coming out of college.
Right.
So, yeah, Jonathantaylor, pretty good rookie year. How are you feeling, Doc?
I feel a lot better now than I did, probably week 5 of last season.
Yeah, I started to worry, too. I was as big of a Jonathantaylor guy as anyone. Halfway through last year, I started to worry.
Yeah, I had quite a few shares of him, and I was very disappointed. But he showed out big time for the playoffs. And I think it's going to be more to come for Jonathantaylor. To an extent, I am worried about how much of a role Marlon Mack will have coming back from an injury, because I feel like that benefited Jonathantaylor from the start. I mean, he got to take the load of the carries from the get-go once Mack was done. So I think that will kind of hurt him a little bit, but I don't know that it'll be too much. I think at the end of the day, Jonathantaylor is a really good player, pretty much total package, speed, good power, all that good stuff. And his vision came along big time in the second half of the season. So put him behind one of the best offensive lines in football. Now you got Carson Wentz, who if Carson Wentz can return to form, that's even better for Jonathantaylor. Opens things up even more, whereas last year it was kind of like, Phillip Rivers, maybe he'll make something happen, but he's also 1,000 years old, so he might just poof into dust or something. Yeah. But it ended up working out well for him, and I think, again, it's just going to be more of the same here in year 2. And, I like the prospects for Jonathantaylor. I think he's being drafted high, but I think he's also earned that with his strong end to his 2020 season. So I like what I've seen.
Yeah, and I agree with that analysis last. Kind of, diving into his dynasty value right now today, I think it's fair to say in a lot of these dynasty startup drafts, he's going, top 3 quite often. I've seen him go as early as 1.
Yep.
Sure, he slides into, late first sometimes as well. But, I think, call him 3 overall. Do you think that's a fair dynasty ADP right now based on what we've seen?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, so, for me personally, like I said, absolutely huge Jonathantaylor guy. Got a lot of shares of him before his rookie year, at the 1.2 slot and startups last year. All that being said, I'm kind of just holding right now. I'm not drafting him that early in any dynasty startups, to be honest. But that's not anything bad against him. I just think there's I think he's really good.
It's hard to take him over to some of those
But so is
guys.
Everybody getting drafted at the 103 in a dynasty startup. So
not only is running back super deep, but, kind of how you mentioned with the dynasty startups, we also have kind of seen Jonathantaylor slip back down, maybe kind of correcting itself a little bit, because I feel like right after the season,
it was super high.
It was like, he's 1.1 because he finished well, and he's coming off his rookie year.
And there are rankings out there that will list him at as their 1.1.
And I can't argue it. I get it, but at the same time, there are guys like Dalvin Cook, Christian McCaffrey, where it's like, can you really? You could make the argument, and you'd probably feel okay with it, but. It's still, for me, and I'm sure Al too, it's kind of tough to pull the trigger on guys like that still.
Right. Yeah, and again, I don't even mean it in a negative way in terms of Jonathantaylor at all. Really as a positive of just all the talent around the league right now.
Yeah.
We've talked about it a lot on other shows. Between Clyde Edwards-Helaire, J.K. Dobbins, Cam Akers, even Antonio Gibson. We love all these second-year running backs. And, yeah, I think I'm the most comfortable taking Jonathantaylor in a dynasty format before all those guys, but it's very close, especially for a lot of them. So, I'm kind of, I'm not buying, I'm not selling either, but definitely a strong hold for me. But yeah, really excited about the player. So yeah, let's dive in a little more redraft, this coming year outlook, redraft value. Where do you see yourself taking them?
redraft, I would say, I mean, you got to take him in the first round, most likely.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't really see him slipping to the second round. He always could, but I feel like probably like that 7, 8, 9 range is probably where you'll get him in redraft. I just feel like some of the other guys that he'd get drafted over in Dynasty will be there in redraft, and that's where he'll kind of be, I think.
Yeah, I agree. I think in redraft, he goes towards the end of the first round probably, and I think that's about fair. Would I rather have a high-end wide receiver over him in a redraft? I don't know. It gets tough.
Yeah, that is a challenge.
Yeah, but let's play the game where we're going to do it both Dynasty and redraft style, where we name some, current players and, which side of the trade we'd rather be on. So let's call it, Dynasty trade straight up. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Jonathantaylor.
I think right now you have to say Jonathantaylor.
I agree by a nose, yeah.
Yeah, but I do think I think there's, if you've listened to our hot take show, then you'll know how I feel about Clyde this year. I do think there's a good possibility Clyde kind of reclaims the throne, so to speak, and kind of shows why he was drafted so early in those dynasty drafts a year ago.
And I 100% agree with that statement. This might sound crazy. So even in a scenario where Clyde does outscore him this year, which I think very possible, I still think a year from now I'd still rather have Jonathantaylor for the long term.
Ooh, I feel the other way. I feel like if Clyde kind of bursts onto the scene and actually is part of the passing game and all those things that he should have been a year ago, I think at that point then his value returns to where it was before his rookie season, where he was shooting up to like even squeaking into the top 5 in those fresh startups.
But that's where Jonathantaylor is right now. So like I guess.
But I'd be all in on him versus Taylor in that scenario, and it kind of just goes to, if Clyde does that well, that tells me they've used him a lot in the passing game, and that's something that even though Jonathantaylor showed he can do, he'll never have 70 catches or anything like that in a season, whereas Clyde could do that regularly if used that way.
All right. So it's another dynasty trade coming in your inbox.
Okay.
Dalvin Cook or Jonathantaylor?
I still got to take Dalvin.
Ooh, all right.
I think I still would because he's too elite to me right now to turn that down.
Yeah, and I want to say I agree, but just because it's dynasty and the life of these running backs and Dalvin already probably about 26. I think I might.
How old is Jonathantaylor? Because I feel like the age difference isn't super. I know those guys have been around a while, but it's not like Jonathantaylor's young either.
True. So Dalvin will be 26 at the start of this year, and has had some injuries, I'll say.
That is true. I'll give you that.
Yeah.
So Jonathan. Oh, maybe I was wrong.
So I think he's pretty young.
22.
Yeah. So call it a 3.
I'm just a big idiot.
Yeah, nah. So
Najee though.
About a 3.5 year gap. So Najee's already older than Jonathantaylor. Crazy.
By 2 years.
Yeah. All right. So I think this is probably a no-brainer, but I'm gonna throw it out there because there's gonna be people who disagree.
Okay.
Najee Harris or Jonathantaylor?
Take JT.
Yeah, me too. All right. Give you one more here. Jonathantaylor or.
Oh wait, redraft though. Or we're doing dynasty trades?
We're doing dynasty.
Okay,
yeah.
I just wanted to clarify there because redraft, I might lean Najee.
Okay, so you take Najee over JT redraft?
Possibly, yeah.
Okay.
I think so.
For me, that's really, really close.
Again, I think it just comes down to the upside with the passing game. I think that's what really.
Yeah, and that's a fair case. Yeah, but I think the efficiency from a run blocking standpoint will be so flipped JT's way because of that offensive line that it could even it out the other way. But yeah, obviously the targets I expect.
Yeah, the differences in their offensive lines are. Ugh.
So I think that's an interesting case. Let's go one more dynasty, then a couple more redraft.
Okay.
Let me I got a whole list of running backs here. Let's just pick one. Jonathantaylor or
Saquon Barkley.
Okay, that's a good one. I'm gonna go Saquon.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's so tough because I know what Saquon's capable of, but it's getting to a point where he's really struggling to stay on the field.
Yeah, he is.
And I don't really think there's such thing as injury prone, but if it keeps happening from a dynasty perspective, kind of need to protect myself here, So man, that's tough. I think I'll still lean Saquon just because I feel like, peak ability. I still think Saquon's got the edge there, but he's really got to stay on the field, and I wouldn't feel good about making that trade.
All right, so now let's go redraft. Jonathan Taylor or Zeke?
Zeke. Redraft, yeah.
Jonathan Taylor and Zeke are actually like super similar to me, like just in terms of, the kind of like their play style and skill set in a way and situation to an extent, not exactly, but it's tough because obviously, Zeke had that down year last year, but a lot of reasons to think he's going to be a strong bounce back candidate.
Yeah, I just keep thinking about how he was like running back 2, I think, when Dak went down.
Mm-hmm.
So
I have seen these articles where, from the advanced metrics that, PFF uses and stuff, like his juke rate and evaded tackles, all that's been super low since like the last quarter of the season before even.
I feel like he doesn't even juke anymore.
Right.
I feel like when I watch the Cowboys, he just tries to like steamroll people.
Right. Yeah.
Which is fine. I don't care, but
yeah,
so, that is a bit worrisome.
Yeah.
Those advanced metrics, they'll make you think. That's for sure.
Right. So I might actually go Jonathan Taylor in redraft, but I don't know. It's super close.
Yeah, that's a tough one.
All right, what about David Montgomery or Jonathan Taylor redraft?
I'm gonna take Jonathan Taylor.
Me too. What about Aaron Jones or Jonathan Taylor redraft?
I still think Jonathan Taylor.
Me too.
If Aaron Rodgers was back for sure, I think that changes probably.
Right.
But
here we go. Nick Chubb or Jonathan Taylor redraft?
I think Nick Chubb.
Okay.
I really do. I honestly think if Nick Chubb plays 17 games, he'll finish top 3. I really do.
Yeah. Yeah. I think they'll. I don't know. That's close for me.
You got the points per game, don't you?
Chubb was at 17.3 points per game. Jonathan Taylor at 6.9, and some of those were like crazy low. Like, Jonathan Taylor had some outlier games early on where he was getting like no work.
Yeah.
So I bet from the games Jonathan Taylor kind of truly started.
It's probably a lot more.
Yeah.
Who was running back 3 last year? What was their points per game?
Derrick Henry at 20.
Oh, well, okay. What about 4?
David Montgomery, but 17.7 points per game.
Okay, so there you go. Top 5 running back, Nick Chubb, if he plays.
Yeah, but so I honestly think Jonathan Taylor though, right in that 17 points. He had 16.9 as a rookie.
I think it's very similar because they're gonna get the same kind of workload.
Right. Yeah. Okay. So I feel like we got about where we're pegging him.
Yeah.
I guess to kind of summarize our feelings, we really like him.
Yeah. Hard not to.
Yeah.
He finished so well.
But as much as we like him, we're not really pulling the trigger on his dynasty startup ADP right now. Is kind of the feeling I've got.
Yeah.
But again, not a knock on him as much as just all the talent we believe around him still. So yeah, love Jonathan Taylor.
And again, there's a lot of really good running backs right now.
Mm-hmm.
And with ADPs being where they are, I mean, I'd rather have a guy like Nick Chubb at like 9 or wherever he is versus like 5.
Yeah.
For Jonathan Taylor.
Yeah.
So I mean, these are the things that you got to think about.
Yeah.
But dynasty long term, obviously, I mean, we feel pretty good. We're struggling to say confidently whether we take him over guys like Dalvin Cook or Ezekiel Elliott. I think he's solidified himself.
Yes.
As one of the premier running backs going forward in dynasty formats.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, that's all I got on.
That's all I have as well.
All right, close us out, Doc.
Okay. So as always, MastersFantasyFootballLeagues.com, I almost said premier destination. That's what it is. I'm just going to keep saying premier and things like that. The premier destination for fantasy football. As you've heard, we've got some super flex leagues coming, some best ball leagues coming, seeing how, dipping our toes in on those. Add into the great dynasty and redraft leagues that we have. I mean, we do hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of leagues. And not to toot our own horn, but we kind of do them really well. There's a reason we're the premier destination for fantasy football of all kinds. So come join the Masters family, sign up for a league, and as always, toss a comment on the video, leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and let us know where you think Jonathan Taylor is going to end up. Do we want to punch some stats in there, Al? What is he going to end up with this year? I almost forgot. Leave your stat predictions in the comments for Jonathan Taylor in year 2.
All right, so I'm going to say 275 carries.
Okay.
I'm going to say 1,400 yards. Maybe like 1,365 yards. And 13 touchdowns.
Okay. Receiving stats?
40 catches, 312 yards, 1 receiving touchdown.
Oh, okay. I feel like this is harder than with the receivers.
I know,
I'm trying to think of what carries would actually make sense for my yards.
I got to figure out the yards per
I'll just
carry.
say 1,183 yards, very specific. 10 touchdowns. And then I think receiving-wise, it's going to be about the same. 35 grabs, 300 yards, and yeah, I'll give him a receiving touchdown too.
I think my yards made sense with the carries, about 4.9 yards per carries with that. So that's yeah.
Okay, yeah, that's fair.
Yeah. All right.
I don't know carries. I can't do that math, and I don't want to just say.
I was just kind of looking
number,
at
So.
All right.
Yeah, 1,183 yards though for Jonathan.
Like it.
All right.
Wait. You said 1,183 yards?
I did, yeah.
So barely outproducing his rookie year. He's 1,169.
Marlon Mack's back.
All right, but he's the guy for 16 games. That's all right. We can disagree.
That's true. Oh, there's also 17 games.
True.
Too.
Oh,
keep forgetting
crap.
that. So these numbers might be way off now. I'm very disappointed about
Add 20
that.
carries and 100 yards because we got an extra game, boys. All right. Thanks for listening, guys. That's Jonathan Taylor. Thanks for
Stick around for the next one.